7, verse number 13. We are continuing our series on the topic of leadership development, and we're looking at the life of Joseph. And so we're taking excerpts from Joseph's life, and we're teaching from the premise that God has created us all to be leaders. Now, remember that leadership is not about position, it's not about title. It's about being positioned by God, and wherever God has placed you, you function at the optimal level that you can function. Whatever you do it according to Colossians. It says you do it as unto the Lord and not as unto men. And so influence or leadership is literally influence, or the ability to persuade others to move in the right direction. Sometimes influence, sometimes persuasion to move in the right direction is not always easy, and sometimes it is controversial. One of the things that we don't understand about the love of God is that God's love has a disciplinary dynamic. If God loves you, he disciplines you. The very fact that God does not leave you to your own to do whatever it is you want to do says that he loves you, because he understands that if he allows you to continue in a particular pattern, you will crash and burn. Every parent in here, as an act of your love, have had to whip your child at some point. All right. I forgot we're in the 21st century, so we don't whip children anymore. But I guarantee you, there's some of us who know what it's like to be whipped. And though it did not feel good to us, it was good for us. The reason that I'm not spending time in prison right now is, number one, because of the grace and mercy of God, because I could have very well got caught and did some stuff, because I did some stuff that could have landed me there. But then number two, it was not just because the word of God had been put in my heart, but the rod of correction had been applied to the seat of my pants. And leaders then are standard bearers. Now I want to give you a couple of disclaimers. First of all, the first disclaimer is, admittedly, I'm preaching to all of us, but this message will only hit a certain percentage of us as our own reality. That is to say, that what I'm about to say applies to those of us as we are, a very few of us as we are. But it also applies to the rest of us as we should be. So there are two groups of people that I'm talking to today. People who will be able to say amen because I'm talking to you where you are. But the other group is the people who probably won't say amen because you're not where you ought to be, but I'm speaking to you concerning where you need to be. In other words, it's probably going to be a rough ride. So let me set this up for you. Joseph is in place now. And everything that God has shown him has come to pass. The famine is in the land. Last week we talked about the fact that he was reunited with his brothers and all that stuff. And if you didn't get last week's message, you need to get it. I talked about protecting your purpose. And I talked about boundaries and how boundaries are so necessary if you're going to progress and succeed in life. That you have to know who to let in what space. I wish I had some witnesses in here. My grandfather taught me that relationships are spatial. He said, Kevin, be friendly to all, be a friend to some, and befriend few. Never knew what he meant by it until I got older. He said, you can be nice to everybody. That's being friendly. He said, and then other relationships, the expectation is for you to be their friend, knowing that they won't give back in return. That's being a friend to some. But he said, be friend few. He said, understand that there are only a few people in your lifetime that you will have mutually beneficial relationships with. And when you know what space to put what people in, you save yourself a lot of headache and heartache. And people will not respect boundaries, number one, that are not set. If you have no boundaries, everybody can get in. But then they won't respect boundaries that you don't enforce. See how quiet it got? And you can't expect people that you have not forced to respect boundaries to respect them on their own. You can't expect a moocher to stop mooching after you've been letting them mooch all their lives. That's the basis of your relationship. You gave, they leached. That's why they're there, because they can get what they can get from you. And they will not stop unless you stop them. So we shouted about that last week. Verse 13, chapter 47. So Joseph's in that place, and he set some boundaries. He told his brothers, y'all sit there. He told the Egyptians, y'all sit there so I can watch y'all. I love y'all, but I need to watch y'all. Because the last time I took my eye off y'all, I got stripped of my coat and thrown in the pit. And the last time I gave y'all the benefit of the doubt, I got stripped of my coat, oh God have mercy, and went to prison. Touch your neighbor, say, neighbor, I love you, but I'm watching you. So just in case you paranoid, like Rockwell, y'all remember that song? Now I know why I was listening to it this way. I always feel like somebody's watching me. Let me tell you who the somebody is, me. I love you, but I'm watching you. I'm not paranoid, but I'm protective of what God is doing in my life. Whew. Y'all ready for this? Let me read this real fast. It says, now there was no bread in all the land, for the famine was very severe, so that the land of Egypt and the land of Canaan languished because of the famine. And Joseph gathered all the money that was found in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan for the grain which they bought. And Joseph brought the money into Pharaoh's house. Next verse. So when the money failed in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came to Joseph and said, God, give us bread, for why should we die in your presence? For the money has failed. Then Joseph said, give your livestock, and I will give you bread for your livestock if the money is gone. So they brought their livestock to Joseph, and Joseph gave them bread in exchange. Somebody shout exchange. In exchange for the horses, the flocks, the cattle, the herds, and for the donkeys. Thus he fed them with bread in exchange. Somebody shout exchange. For all of their livestock that year. When that year had ended, they came to him the next year and said to him, "We will not hide from my Lord that our money is gone. My Lord is also has our herds of livestock. There is nothing left in the sight of my Lord but our bodies and our lands. Why should we die before your eyes, both we and our land? Buy us and our land for bread, and we and our land will be servants of Pharaoh. Give us seed that we may live and not die, that the land may be desolate." Then Joseph bought all of the land of Egypt for Pharaoh, for every man of the Egyptians sold his field, because the famine was severe upon them, so that the land became Pharaoh's. Thus ends the reading of the word of God. I had you to mention one word, and that word was what? That's what I'm going to preach about today, the exchange. You may be seated. Good morning. My brothers and my sisters, the world in which we live operates on a system of exchange. That is to say that everything that exists and survives does so not just because it receives, but whatever exists and whatever survives exists and survives because it gives as well. Nature teaches us this lesson. The one thing that plant life expels is the very thing that the animal life inhales in order to survive, and vice versa. You remember in elementary earth science class, we learned about something that was called photosynthesis. And we learned this. We learned that we breathe in oxygen, but we breathe out carbon dioxide. And while on the other hand, plants breathe in carbon dioxide, and they breathe out oxygen. It is the process of photosynthesis that keeps the life cycle going. It is the process of what we expel keeping something else alive, and what they expel keeping us alive. All right, it's going to get a little rough in here. I can see y'all please wake up. Touch your neighbor if they sleep. Tell them to wake up. Wake up. It's photosynthesis, and photosynthesis is actually 2 parts God and 1 part us. You remember the equation of photosynthesis. It is sunlight plus rain, and for the plants, it is carbon dioxide. But for us, it is sunlight plus rain plus oxygen. We need the sun, and only God can give us the sun. We need the rain, and only God can give us the rain. But God uses creation as a resource, not a source, but as a resource to supply the gaseous substances in the equation of life. So that he supplies the sunlight, which gives us light, which gives us energy. He supplies the rain, which gives us hydration. But it is us, my brothers and my sisters, who exhale what others need and inhales what is needed from them so that we might live. That being the case, it can be said that what we contribute to the process of photosynthesis is what I call the unseen bridge of life. You cannot see carbon dioxide, but it's still there. No one has ever seen oxygen, but it's still there. As a matter of fact, you don't see it, but you see the effects of it. So that every time that you see someone living and moving, something breathing, you understand that oxygen exists. And every time that you see plant life that has not withered, you know that carbon dioxide exists. You don't see it, but it's there. You can't touch it, but it's there. You can't see its essence, but you can see its effect. Okay, all right, let me go a little further. I can see I got a tough audience this morning. Acts 20:35 declares, "It is more blessed to give than receive." The emphasis of this verse is not difference between giving and receiving, but rather it is the deference of the desire to receive to the requirement to give. In other words, When God says it is more blessed to give than to receive, he is not saying choose one or the other. What he is saying, though, that if one is not in operation, the other will not be a reality. So the blessing of life is impeded when we are more focused on consuming than we are on contributing. To give is to make room to receive. A man was asked, and he was a multimillionaire. He was asked, Tiffany, how much are you worth? And he said that I am worth about $1 million. The fact of the matter is his assets were over 200 million. And people knew what his assets were. And they looked at him and said, excuse me, sir, you're worth $200 million. He said, no. He said, $200 million is what I own. But $1 million is what I have given. Y'all missing this. I am only worth as much as I give. What I give determines my worth, not what I have. Oh, I'm going to preach for y'all. Won't be doing that. I'm going to talk through this. I know it's going to get tight because the truth of the matter is we got this strange sort of economy that we think that we are worth what we have. The truth of the matter is we don't even have what we think we have. You are buying your home. You don't own it yet. I'm going to talk with y'all. Want me to or not? So at best, if you are buying your home, you are nothing more than a glorified renter. Because if you miss that mortgage payment too many times, the house that you call yours will be proven not to be yours. You don't own that car, you're buying it. And if you are making payments on a vehicle, you are nothing more than a glorified leaser. Because if you miss 2 or 3 of them payments, Ford Motor Company giveth and Ford Motor Company taketh away. You are only worth as much as you contribute. And perhaps that's the reason so many of us feel displaced. Perhaps that's the reason so many of us feel scattered. Perhaps that's the reason so many of us feel depressed. Because we think that life consists in the abundance of things that we have. But real life consists in what you have given for the purpose of making somebody else's life better. All right, I'm going to go a little deeper. I ain't scared of your looks. I ain't scared of your toe-up faces. You can blow up as big as a bullfrog. I'm going to get this word out here today if it's the last thing that I do. And so it is, my brothers and my sisters. I've come to discover that many people fail to see the importance of exchange. Either they want something for nothing or they want a whole lot for a little. But if we are going to receive, we must give. If we give, then we receive. If we don't give, we don't receive. It is as simple as that. I ain't talking about your money right now. Well, I am, but I'm talking about a whole lot of other stuff. Troy, you're going to love this. Consider the fact that Salmons Enterprises, that's the enterprise that owns Neiman Marcus, grosses $4.9 billion a year, while Walmart grosses $33 billion a year. What's interesting to me is that Walmart has lost $3 billion a year due to theft from customers. Y'all miss what I said. Walmart makes their merchandise more available and affordable than Neiman Marcus. Well, the question is, why would people steal from something that is affordable? I'm going to preach whether you want me to or not. Because they are the generation that says, no matter how affordable it is, I want to get over and I want to get by. But watch this. Most of their theft comes from customers, from pedestrians, from regular people who don't work for the corporation. But Neiman Marcus that grosses $4.9 billion, watch this, most of their theft comes from the inside. So here you have, watch this, Walmart suffering because people who want a deal and can get a deal still want to steal from the place they getting the deal from. Neiman Marcus suffers because the people who are on the inside, who should be protecting and selling the merchandise, are stealing the merchandise. So you got two things at work. First thing you got at work is people, watch this, who are not connected to the organization, stealing from it, watch this, because they know they can get whatever they want. And then there are people who know what's in the organization and who ought to be protecting it. They steal it because they know where it is. I'm going to preach whether y'all want me to or not. See, my brothers and my sisters, let me slow down because I want to get this to you. What I really want you to understand is this. In Walmart's case, over 10% of its profits are stolen, even though the prices are far lower than many of their retail competitors. These are the people who want to get something for free. And people who want to get something for free have to deal with two sets of consequences. All right, if I made you mad, I'm going to make you even angrier. The first thing they got to deal with is if they get caught, they will be arrested, convicted, and perhaps sentenced to jail time. And they have to deal with what I call the curse of incarceration. God. So if in fact I am caught stealing from Walmart or caught embezzling or stealing from Neiman Marcus, then my personal consequence is incarceration. I get locked up. Watch this. Nobody in my family gets locked up, but people in my family do suffer. If I, as the breadwinner in my family, get locked up, then there ain't nobody to win bread to feed my family. Now I have to push my children off on somebody else while I do my time in prison. I'm going to preach whether y'all want me to or not. Now I got to make my responsibility somebody else's responsibility who already has responsibility of their own. All right, now number two, watch this. Here's the second consequence. If they are not caught, they are guilty of being contributors to what I call the curse of inflation and unemployment. So it does not just have a personal consequence. Now it has a corporate or a social consequence. Because if I keep stealing from Walmart, then if I keep taking what should be making money, ain't no money to pay the employees. And if ain't no money to pay the employees, then the employees get laid off. And if the employees are laid off, I'm going to preach whether y'all want me to or not. If the employees are laid off, then we have something called unemployment. Not to mention that if I keep taking what ain't mine, then it causes the prices to go up. Because everybody who supplies got to get the money out of what they have put into what they're trying to sell. Y'all miss what I'm trying to say. It's going to get a little deeper. Touch your neighbor and say, it's going to get a little deeper. So watch this. I have a friend, Elder Colbert, who is a loss prevention specialist for Lowe's, whose sole job is to watch the store on monitored cameras. And her job is to carefully watch over the store to make sure that the store inventory is not pillaged by thieves. Her job is not to deter well-meaning shoppers from purchasing. But her job is to prevent thieves from leaving the store with merchandise without paying for it. I'm convinced, my brothers and my sisters, that it is God's will that we view our lives, our gifts, and our kingdom assignments in that same light. Each of us are God's assets who have been given the kingdom commodities of time, talent, and treasure, who've been given the commodities of life, health, and strength. And we've been charged with the responsibility to properly manage all that we are and all that God has entrusted us with for his glory. To touch somebody beside you and say, neighbor, you sitting beside a kingdom asset. I know I don't look like it. I know I might not be your cup of tea. I know I might not be your slice of cake. But God has put something on the inside of me that makes me valuable. And if I ain't valuable to nobody else, I'm valuable to God. You ain't talking to your neighbor. Find somebody else who you can talk to and say, neighbor, I am a kingdom asset and I have kingdom commodities. I am valuable. My time is valuable. My talent is valuable. My money is valuable. Everything about me is valuable. And because I am valuable, God have mercy, God is going to get the glory out of my life no matter what anybody thinks about it. Somebody ought to shout, yes, Lord. Part of our management responsibility is to hold ourselves accountable for holding others accountable for appropriate exchange for that what God has placed in our care. Part of our management responsibility is to say, listen, here is the standard. Here is the parameter. Here is the boundary. You can't treat me any way you want to treat me because I view me as a gift from God. I wish I had a witness in it. Everything that I have, it came from God. Everything that I am because of God. Every experience that I've had, God has given that experience to me. And he holds me accountable for holding you accountable for how I let you treat me and what I have. Oh God, I'm going to talk with you all into it. You teach people how to treat you. If in fact you're crying about bad treatment, if in fact you're belly aching about being done wrong, you have to understand that the people that have access don't have access unless you give it to them. I'm going to talk whether y'all want me to or not. So now the enemy ain't them. The enemy is you. Because if you don't love yourself and don't care enough for your stuff to set boundaries and set parameters, then how do you expect somebody who don't value you to know what you're worth? Somebody ought to shout yes. He holds us responsible. I'm almost done. He holds us responsible. He holds us accountable for holding others accountable. Matthew 25, y'all know it's my favorite parable, the parable of the talents. And it messed me up, Amber, because I'm trying to figure out why God is so teed off with this cat who had the one talent. Because after all, he did give him back what he gave him. Y'all remember the story, don't you? The one who had 5 talents got 5 more. The one who had 2 got 2 more. The one who had 1 went and buried his. And when the Lord came back, the Lord said, give an account. The one who had 5 got 5 more. The one who had 2 got 2 more. The one who had 1 said, here, Lord, what you gave me, I gave back to you. So I'm trying to figure out, God, why'd you get so twisted? Because the man gave you back what you gave him. He said to me, Kevin, here's what you got to understand. Whenever I give you something, it's not just enough not to do the wrong thing with it, but you got to do the right thing with it. I wish you touch your neighbor, say, neighbor, it ain't good enough just not to do the wrong thing. You got to make up in your mind that you're going to start doing the right thing. And every gift and every ability and every talent that God has given you, if you sit on it, you're doing just as wrong as you would if you would give it away. Somebody ought to shout, yes, Lord. I'm almost done. So I want to talk to some people in here today and tell you, you are a gift from God. I may be speaking factually, or I may be speaking futuristically. Factually, I'm speaking to those of you who understand your worth, who understand your value, who understand that God is doing something in you so unique and so different and so strange and so peculiar that if it gets out of the blocks, watch this, the devil is going to have the worst headache he's ever had. But I'm also talking to those of us who are yet to understand this principle. And I want to tell each and every person in here, you have the responsibility to protect God's investment. I just want to walk through this. So somebody needs to understand that you can mean business without being mean. Somebody getting ready to get tough today. You can be nice without being naive. Oh, God have mercy. You can be vulnerable to God so that God can use you however, whenever, and wherever he wants to use you without being gullible and allow people to use you any way that they choose to use you. One of the things that we haven't been taught in Christianity or in the Christian faith, that Jesus is not this monolithic, that he is not just one way. He is the Lamb of God and he is the Lion of the tribe of Judah. Y'all miss what I said. I said he is the first and he is the last. He says, I came to bring peace, and he says, I came to make people mad at each other. See, here's what y'all got to understand. One of the things the devil wants to do when he wants to get you off course is to destroy you, watch this, not through being malicious against you, but through deceiving you as it relates to who you are. And sometimes he will use your good intentions to send you straight to hell. So some of y'all living in hell right now, not because you just give your body to everybody. I'm going to preach with you one more tonight. Not everybody in here that's going through hell is an illicit drug user. Some of you are going through hell, watch this, because you give folks too much stuff too freely. God have mercy. And you have not managed what God has given you, and the takers keep taking, and the moochers keep mooching, and the leechers keep leeching, and you giving and giving and giving, and you depressed. Can I tell you why? Because you're sowing good seed in bad. Am I talking to anybody in here? Not right now in your life, because you might be sitting beside somebody who this might apply to, but at some point in your life, you found yourself guilty of sowing good seed in bad soil. Wasn't nothing wrong with the seed. The soil was just contaminated. And whenever you put something pure into something that's contaminated, the contamination will break the purity down. I'm almost done. I'm almost done. So now, you got to take responsibility. I'm almost finished. You got to take responsibility for the gift that you have and the gift that you are. Thank you, Amber. Thank you, Crystal. Because the second part of that presentation is, not only must you let people go who walk away, there are some people who refuse to walk away that ain't gonna go unless you show them the door. I feel like talking in here. There's some people, watch this, who are not going to be distanced from you unless you give them the urban benediction. You know what the urban benediction is, don't you? Let the doorknob hit you. What a good Lord split you. I wish I had a few witnesses in here. I am too valuable to continue to subject myself to what I've been going through. I am too valuable to continue to live in the hell that I've been living in. I am too valuable to stay in the place that I've stayed in. Somebody ought to shout yes. And if you gonna stay here, there must be an exchange. I know you've been getting the milk for free, but the cow done changed her mind. And the last cup of milk you got for free is the last cup of milk you gonna get for free. Every other cup of milk is gonna come with an exchange. Shout yes! Bishop, what? Bishop, If I were in heaven, I wouldn't preach this kind of content. If everybody in the church was right and in the right place, I would preach deep and great and glorious revelation. I would talk to you about the third heaven and what is in the third heaven. I would speak to you about the elders of the Old Testament, the 12, and the apostles of the New Testament. I know my theology. The problem is the church has been so theological that it has not been psychological. So you got spiritual folk who still crazy. You got spiritual folk who still defeated. You got folk who know the Bible. I wish I got a witness, but can't balance their checkbook. And I came. So when we grow up, I'll get deeper. When we get the message, I'll go further. But right now, somebody needs to get this. So what does that have to do with Joseph, Bishop? I'm glad you asked. Joseph is in the palace where God has purposed him to be. And his assignment is to assist Pharaoh in the management of the kingdom resources in the time of famine. And during the time of plenty, you know the story, Joseph gathered grain from all the cities, stored it up in barns for the purpose of selling it to the citizens of the world. As time progressed, the famine became more severe and the people's money ran out. So they came and they said to Joseph, Joseph, our money ran out. Give, somebody shout, give. Give us grain. And Joseph's response is both challenging and revelatory at the same time. When the money ran out, Joseph said, give y'all? No, I ain't giving y'all nothing. He said, if you want grain, you got to make some exchanges. Oh, it's going to get deeper. Matter of fact, when you read the text, you heard it read in your hearing. He says, okay, you ain't got no more money, but you got some livestock. so if you want what I got, you're not responsible for giving me what you ain't got. But what you do have, you have to give in exchange for what I have. All right. See, I always thought Joseph was this man's-a-pansy, nice, easygoing, docile type cat. He just real cool. He don't say nothing when his brothers throw him in the pit. He don't do none of that kind of stuff. He gets accused of attempted rape, and he just goes to prison like a martyr walking to his death. But Joseph is so shrewd, y'all, it messes me up. So they come back to Joseph, and they say, Joseph, now listen, we gave you our cattle and gave you our livestock, and the famine is still in the land, and we ain't got no more grain. Give us grain. And Joseph said, well, I know your money ran out, and I wish you would read it, because he said, if in fact your money ran out. Because the truth of the matter is, not everybody that's crying po is po. And not everybody crying broke is broke. I wish I had a few witnesses. They need money for gas, but they got money for Black and Mild. I'm just trying. Can I be real? They need money to pay their light bill, but they got money to get a manicure, pedicure. Matter of fact, they sit up and give their money to Buddha and won't give their money to Christ. Somebody ought to shout, yeah. I'm almost done. For all of our visitors, I don't normally fuss like this, but I need to save us, because we in the middle of an ocean that's about to rise. I wish I had a witness. And if we don't get ourselves together, we all gonna drown. And I promise you that if anybody drown, the blood ain't gonna be on my hands. Somebody ought to shout yes. Well, we ain't got no more cattle. He says, okay, but you do have land. And you do have you. So if your money has ran out, and if you ain't got no more cattle, it still does not mean that you don't have anything to give. You can give your land, and and you can give yourself. I'm almost done. I can see y'all ain't liking me. So here's what I want y'all to understand. You can no longer allow others to ride and live for free. Now I'm talking to some of y'all who doing it. And I'm talking to the rest of y'all who need to get your act together and stop doing it. So I'm speaking on behalf of the person that you leeching and mooching off of, telling you something that they didn't have the courage to tell you themselves. So understand that when I'm shooting with a double barrel gun. Tell somebody it's a double barrel. Yeah. One bullet is to those who walking in it, and one bullet is the one to the others who need to be walking in it. So watch this. I promise you, I'm almost done. It's 11:54. I got to get out of here. We're not gonna shout today. We're not gonna shout today because I got some other things I need to deal with. But you can no longer allow others to ride and live for free. You can't allow others to abuse privileges. You can't allow people to not hold up their end of the bargain and not give their best to you when you're giving your best to them. Love holds people responsible. If you don't make your daughter clean her room up now, she's going to be some man's messy wife. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Y'all, excuse me. If you don't make your son responsible, watch this, for providing and taking care of himself and taking care of stuff around the house, now you're going to give some woman a lazy, Xbox playing, Facebook surfing husband. If you don't hold people responsible now for what you're giving them, you're going to set them up for the okie doke because they can use you. But when they get to the next place, they going to get their feelings hurt. So guess what? You may as well go ahead and offend them now so that they can be hurt and get over it and grow up. So it's about an exchange. Somebody shout an exchange. Let me say this prophetically. I'm going to get up out of here. Some of y'all are owed a whole lot of money. And every time you see them, something stirs on the inside of you. And you know you need that money back. You know no. You know you need the money back, but because you don't want no tension between you and them. You just sit around and act like, they don't, and they look at you like they don't owe you money. I'm going to preach whether you want me to or not. Truth of the matter is, if you're going to get it back, or to find out whether or not you're going to get it back, you better just go ahead and ask for it. Okay, y'all missed it. I gotta get out. I gotta get out. They not liking this. Well, the church told me just to let it go. Okay, you keep letting it go if you want to. The very fact that you still feeling this stirring in your belly every time you see them, this stirring in your belly every time you look at that bill that needs to be paid, and you got $600-700 out there that they ain't. Watch this. And here's the thing that drives it home even deeper. The thing that drives it home deeper is they cried broke, but they got new stuff. I'm sorry. They cried broke, but they went to see Kevin Hart. Oh God, I'm gonna preach whether y'all want me to or not. They cried broke, but they went to see Beyonce, and they gonna go see Jay-Z. And when Prince come back to town, I wish I had somebody in here. Shout glory. Now, if you can really let it go, let it go. But just because you don't say nothing about it don't mean you let it go. If you still got that churning, you better get it out of you so you can just find out where it is. Hey, man, you going to give me my money back or what? Because I ain't said nothing don't mean I forgot. But Bishop, that ain't God. It ain't? Are you sure it ain't God? God said, Isaiah, I need you to go tell Hezekiah that I gave him his life. But because he ain't done what was right with it, this day his life is required of him. So don't tell me God don't hold you responsible for doing what you ought to do with what he gave you. Oh, y'all miss what? He gave each and every one of our lives, but not each and every one of us are going to heaven. Forget heaven. He gave each and every one of us our life, but we're not going to experience the abundant life that he promised us in John chapter 10. Just because he gave it to you don't mean he don't hold you responsible for it. You got to understand that what God gave you ain't yours, no way. Three things and I'm done. So, Bishop, if I'm going to hold folk accountable, if I'm holding them accountable for exchange, what does the exchange look like? Well, first of all, watch this. I love this, Melinda. Watch this. The exchange is what I call an in or a same kind exchange. Somebody shout same kind. Listen to what happens. When they first went into the famine, he said, I'm going to sell y'all grain for money. The money was a Hebrew or an Egyptian coin made from metal. Follow this. The metal is found in the earth. The seeds of grain are found in the earth. So when they exchanged something that came from the same origin. Which means, oh God have mercy, this is good. Which means that if I owe you money and I got money, I ought to give you the money that you gave me. I shouldn't have it and be trying to substitute. Why y'all quiet? I can wash my own car. I don't need you to wash my car when I've given you money. I know where Autobell is. If I don't want to wash it myself, I can get somebody to wash it. So now why am I going to let you wash my car when you got a pocket full of money? Oh, I know why. I know why you want me to let you wash my car and you got money. I know why in February, you know, when you get your early refund check back, I got 5 minutes, I'm done. I know why you offer to take me to dinner when I got a cabinet full of food. Because it's convenient for you to wash the car. It's convenient for you to take me to a Golden Corral. Which shows me what you think of me. Uh-oh. I ain't got nothing against Golden Corral. But I gave you Ruth Chris money. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You want to take me to a movie? When what I gave you was at least worth an opera ticket. See, if you're going to start holding people accountable, I'm almost done. If you're going to hold people accountable, watch this. You need to hold them accountable for exchanging the same kind. That's the economy of God. Galatians 6 and 7. For those of you who say I ain't preaching the word. Be not deceived. God is not mocked. Whatever a man sows, that shall he reap. Y'all missing this. I'm just teaching today. What I sow is what I get back. I don't get your loyalty in exchange for money. And I don't get your money in exchange for loyalty. Watch this, Tiffany. If I'm loyal to you, my only expectation can be that you are. If I love you, my only expectation can be. But if I give you my stuff, my reasonable expectation is that you give your stuff. We'll talk in tongues next month. Number 2, not only must you hold others responsible to give the same kind, you must hold others responsible to give in kind. See, the same kind is you give me what I give you. You give me back what I've given to you. If I gave you my car, you give me your car. If I let you stay in my house, you let me stay in your house. If you ran up my credit card, the least you can do is give me yours and let me run it up. But if you ain't got no money, now we can start dealing with in kind. In other words, I don't give you the money to buy the food, but I buy you the food. Oh, God have mercy. So if you absolutely ain't got it, then you need to find something else that you can give me of equal value. Why so quiet? And don't you think you can put the value on what you give me and I'm supposed to take it? I'm getting ready to get a little graphic, but I'm dealing with people who understand graphic. So I had counseled this couple years ago. They don't go to the church, so don't be looking side-eyed. None. Ain't nobody here. So I had to counsel them, and the young lady, they're arguing, and I just gave him my all. I said, sweetheart, what is your all? Y'all know I'm getting ready to go. What is your all? And y'all know what she meant when she said, anytime he wanted, he can get it. And I asked this question, and maybe this is why she doesn't speak to me anymore. I said, is that the most valuable asset you have? Now let's put the whole sin issue aside. But since y'all living together, do you work? No. Does he? Yes. Well, if you ain't working, you ain't paying no bills. So I asked him, bro, where do you work? He said, well, I got 2 jobs. I work at Walmart and I throw papers for the Observer. So now I'm doing some calculating in my head. If he works at Walmart as a stocker and he's throwing paper for the Observer, it ain't like he got a Donald Trump salary. Not to mention, he ain't just taking care of you and him. He's taking care of you and him and your children that ain't his. So you mean to tell me that that equals that? Now, before y'all take it out and say I wasn't preaching the truth and preaching the gospel, remember I said set the fornication issue aside. It is a sin, but watch this. It's amazing how we highlight some sin. Especially when somebody coming after us for hours. So the same God who said don't fornicate is the same God that said if you don't work, you don't eat. The two don't add up. Let me come from the brothers. You sit home playing Xbox all day long, watching ESPN, and think because you can put it down in the bed that that's going to be sufficient payment. The devil is a lie, and the woman you got is the biggest fool on the face of this earth. I'm sorry. Truth of the matter is, she can get what you giving her before she can get a meal. Some sister in here, I just preached about your former life because you ain't doing it right now. But if I'm talking about you in the past, you ought to wave at me and say, go ahead and preach. You could get what you was getting from him before you could get a couple of, I wish I had a witness in here. If you was fat, you knew what to do, knew how to bat your eyes, knew how to sway your hips, knew how to lower your voice and talk real sweet. You knew how to do that, and you could get that before you can get a meal. Somebody shout yes. Touch your neighbor and say, that's before I was saved. Elijah helped me to preach it. Bible says Elijah went to this widow woman in 1 Kings chapter number 17. It was in a time of famine. He said to the woman, give me something to drink. She went to get the water, but then he said, okay, well, why are you going? Give me something to eat as well. The woman said, as the Lord your God lives, I ain't got no cake. I wish I had a witness. I got a little bit of oil, I got a little bit of meal, a little bit, and I was going to mix it together so me and my boy can eat it and die. Elijah said, if you give me what you got, God have mercy. It ain't got to be the whole cake, God have mercy. Just give me a morsel. And if you give me a morsel, the grain, your barrel of grain will always be full. Your cruse of oil will never be empty. You got to watch this. If people can't give you what you give them, they need to give you an equal amount of something else. Here's number 3. I'm done. All right, since y'all tying up on me and getting real tight on me, let me say this. And if you can't give people what they give you, you ought to give them an equal amount of something else. Number 3, and I'm done. You must hold others responsible, watch this, to ultimately give themselves. Uh-oh. Why do we trip on asking people to be committed to us like we're committed to them? It's in the text. Listen to what Joseph said. Joseph said, okay, your money gone, your cattle gone, you still got some land, but don't just give me the land. Make yourself a servant to Pharaoh. I'm almost done. Barry, everything that I give you is an extension of me anyway. If I give you my money is an extension of me because I work for it. If I let you borrow my car is an extension of me because I work for it. So when I'm giving you an extension of me, Nate, that means that everything I give you is me. But when I have no more extensions to give you, God, y'all gonna catch it in a minute. I gotta give you what the extension came from. And here's the problem with many of us. We don't understand the mutuality of relationship. We so used to giving people stuff and not giving them ourselves that ultimately we make a bigger mess. I wish I had a witness. Than we could ever fix. Okay, so here's the problem with some of our children. Fathers. Because you're quick to say you're a good daddy because you are in their life. But being in their life is not just giving and detaching. Just because you ain't had to go to child support court don't mean you're a good father. All you are is a sperm donor that pays his bills. And just because you dress your daughter pretty, sisters, and her hair is always done, and she always, looking good, don't make you a good mama. Amen. It just meant you went half on a baby. Right. I've seen children, and I'm done, who grew up in poor households, and they were more well-adjusted than children who grew up in homes where they got everything. So I called my children around, and I'm done. Play LJ. And I said to Nicholas and Donovan and Chanel, I said, listen, Daddy needs to apologize to y'all because I haven't been the best me that I could be. And I went down the list of things. And Chanel stopped me and said, Daddy, we never expected you to be perfect. We love you because you were there. Donovan chimes in and said, Daddy, you didn't give us a lot of stuff, but you gave us you. Nick said, Daddy, know why all our friends like to come to our house? I got adult men, some in the city, some outside the city, who on any given day will come to my house and just hang out and raid my refrigerator and sleep on my couch and turn my television to whatever station they want to turn it to. He said, Daddy, the reason they keep coming is because you've given us something that they've never gotten in their own lives. I'm not bragging. Here's what I'm telling you. It's all about the exchange. There's some of you I'm talking to, I preached to, this message was to you. You have been giving and giving and giving and giving and giving, and you had no ulterior motives. You just kept giving. And the people that you gave to just kept taking and 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 kept taking. And now you burnt out. You drained. Now you're on fumes, and watch this. You are giving people stuff that you don't have. You've run out of it, but you're still trying to give it. If I'm talking to you, please come to the altar. I don't care if you're sitting with somebody that this might rub the wrong way. I'm not talking about how clean, how pure, how right your life is right now. I'm talking to y'all who just tired. Just tired. You're just tired. I'm going to ask if you don't have to leave now, if you don't have to go to work, service is not over, so if you'll be so kind as to stay until the benediction, it would be great. Just tired. Saw a friend of mine the other day who said, man, I thought you'd been on vacation. He said, I can look in your eyes and tell you're exhausted. I said, well, I didn't go to the church and I just been laying down. He said, listen, laying down does not mean that you're not exhausted. I can see on some of your faces you are just exhausted. And you're exhausted because so much has been pulling on you and so much has been pulling from you. And now you trying to give something you ain't got to give. You have run out. There used to be a time that you could give them the money and it did not affect you. But now you're giving your last, and now your last is almost gone.